So we are recording now. We're excited to be able to do this event outdoors. You know, it's a little windy, so those of us who worked so hard on our hair this morning are having a field day. But it's beautiful, beautiful, bright blue sky today. Perfect day to start planting for fall. It actually feels a little bit like fall. We got some much needed rain. Would have been nice to have had it spread over a little bit longer time. But we're excited. We've got, let's see. We've got a nice crowd here today. We've got about 20 people in person. This is definitely something that we want to continue doing, is having people, having some of these workshops. It's a lot of fun. It's that sense of community that gardens bring about. And we'll be led, of course, today by, you know, the always fun Michelle Hawks, who's just got tremendous talent, and she's a lot of fun to be around. But I think we're just about ready to get started. Let's see. Didn't lose sound. You just have someone that keeps forgetting to hit unmute. No, what I was saying was, you know, we're gardeners, so we like to improvise. I wasn't going to carry a laptop around today to try to do this, but we're just going to do a brief intro. You know, one thing, like I said, we love doing these workshops. It's fun to have a lot of people see their creativity. You know, there's a lot of things getting ready to keep happening in the gardens. Look for a lot of activity mid-November. You're going to see in the lower garden and also up by Coliseum along the trails. Lots getting ready to happen. So stay tuned. And if you've got questions, I'll try to my best to keep an eye on chat on the phone and ask them of Michelle, but I'm going to let her take center stage because she's the hostess with the mostest today. Okay, so like I said, we got Michelle here today doing our wonderful, you know, class. She's a woman of many talents. Yes. Always keeps us laughing, right, Michelle? And we keep her laughing. But you know, again, we're really happy to be able to do something outdoors and, you know, in person. You can't quite do a fall container. Well, I guess you could, but it just wouldn't be as much fun. So, you know, we've got, you know, a whole slew of different plants, and we hope this is gonna be fun, but I'm gonna shut up now and turn it over to Michelle.
And I'm gonna keep you busy, so
Lord.
I'm gonna be walking through.
So if you hear a thud, it's me walking into tables.
Yeah. So I don't know if all of y'all know me or heard me. My name's Michelle. Can y'all hear me okay? Yes. Okay. And I've been here 24 years. So I know a few little things about container gardening. It's my way, it's not the right way or the wrong way. We just, you know, I like to make it fun. And that's what we're going to do today with the wind. With the wind. So all of y'all with the containers, does everyone have a drain hole?
No.
No.
But I can get one when I get home.
Okay.
I have a guy with me.
Okay. All right. And that's okay. Because that's one of the most important things. I want to walk around so y'all can hear me. Having a drain hole. If you do not have a drain hole, what I do is some kind of box or a hole, you know, terracotta pot, put it in the bottom, a little bit of drainage so it doesn't just sit. But if you just put it on your front porch just for good, just for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Just don't overwater, you know. Okay. One thing about fall containers that get on my nerves is people will take out their dead plants from summer that they did not water and just pop in them up. No, that is not fun. That is not fun for me. So what I did was we got plenty of plants up here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a few little tips first before we start, like plants and planting. So the number one thing is making sure that you have a drain hole. Number two, make sure you have potting soil, right? Okay. I mean, because some people don't know. I mean, some people just don't know. Number three, your container. I use all kinds of containers. These are three of my favorite ones from my house. You can use anything. Pumpkins. Pumpkins are really good to use for the fall. You can put potting soil in them. You can put Oasis and or whatever, you know, make an arrangement. But sometimes I have used pumpkins on my front porch, and I have been very guilty of just popping them in there.
Do as she says, not as she does.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to use any kind of containers. I love yours, the long square one. I love that one. You know, don't be afraid to just get out of the box a little bit with containers. So the first thing that I want to show you, I've already put soil in these. All of these have drainage holes and stuff. People ask me all the time, how can I mix it up? What is the best way to mix things up? You know, if you don't have a selection, then you can't mix things up. You got to have more than at least 3 plants, you know. So I want to start with this blue pot because this is one of my favorite ones. And it gets on my neighbor's nerves. So I always like to make it real showy because she's kind of boring. So we've got the soil in here, okay? I'm going to use this succulent. I love this one because it just pops, you know? Now, when you go to a nursery or anywhere you go and you buy a plant, you can always divide that one plant. And remember, your plants are going to grow because you're going to fertilize it and you're going to water it and you're going to talk to it and you're going to baby it and look at it every day, right? Right. Okay. So, and a lot of times when people put things in containers, they just kind of just put it in there, you know? A little tip that I do is I break it apart to make it look more natural looking. And we're just going to stick that in there. And it's okay to move it around so it's still not stuck in that circle, you know? You're not going to hurt it. They need to have those roots broken and, you know, you want it to have it look more natural and stuff. So I love the color of this with the blue pot. Y'all agree? I know some of y'all can't see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Another thing is people don't use vegetables enough. I love using Swiss chard with whatever because of I like foliage. In the fall, you're going to get more foliage than blooms anyway. But this is good for summer too. You always break up the root box. And I think I'm using Swiss chard in this pot because of the red, the black, you know, different. It's different. All right. Now, what are we going to put in this pot to irritate my neighbor? I shouldn't say that. She's a really sweet lady. She just knows. People don't use autumn ferns enough, I don't think, for outdoor containers. You can use those in the summer too. You know, spring, summer, fall. So I think I'm going to put a little bit of greenery in there. You know, put a little bit of greenery in there. And I want a little pop of color maybe. And I don't want to use the blue pansies white. Because the pot, right, you can't see them. Some people don't think about that. I think about that. But if you use the blue with the blue, it's okay too. So I'm going to use the little white.
What color?
White. It's white with yellow. Is he making fun? All right.
I like to live dangerously.
I am on a Zoom. I want to be good.
You are being recorded.
I
Anything
know.
you say can or will be used.
I know, right? All right. So I've got that in there. But I want to really freak my neighbor out and put totally different kind of stuff in here. And this is a perennial mum. So once it gets done out of your container, plant it in your yard, you know? Get your money's worth. This was $3.99. I don't know. I just made that up. I don't know.
They're more than that.
Yeah, I know. And I like to cram them in there. Don't be afraid to break up this root ball. I'm going to break it up so it's going to fit. And I think that's a part of container gardening that people feel like they don't know is I don't want to hurt the plant. And this plant obviously is so root bound and it needs what I just did. So I want to put this back here. That autumn fern's there. I got a pansy there. And I probably would put a couple more pansies, or maybe another autumn fern. Now, you know, or I don't like that at all. I just don't like it. So I'm going to take that pansy out, and that's okay too. You know, I don't like those pansies in there. So put it out. But I do like that. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
It's nice. Okay. This pot. I love this pot. I have to tell a story about this pot. This pot was at a nursery, and I used to go in there all the time. And he was barking up the wrong tree. I'll just say that with me. And he said, Michelle, he said, why don't you just take those pots? And I said, well, okay, but what do I owe you anything? And he said, no. And ever since then, I can go to that nursery and he always gives me something. But it's just the story behind it. And anyway, it's still one of my favorite pots. It's a frog on it. I just had to share that with us. All right. These pots are on pedestals. I'm not going to say that. Well, I still ain't gonna tell you. So with a pot like this, it's gonna be on a pedestal or right at your front door. People, when they pot things up, they just, you know, put it right here. Everything's straight up. No. When you pot up stuff, angle it a little bit. That way, everything's not so straight. So no matter what direction you're coming from, people can see it better. You know, it's not just straight up. You can just see it better. I think it makes a big difference. Kale. People do not use kale enough in containers. Not only does it look good, but you can eat it, you know? And and I'm going to, you know, just tilt it a little bit. In a bigger pot, I always try to figure out what I want in the center of it first. And I broke this mom, so I'll use this one. So I'm going to put this one in the center, but you don't have to use your tall stuff in the center. Again, it's what you like. I might want to put it towards the back. If this is going to be the back of the wall, then I want this in the back, not in the center. It all depends on where you want to put your container. And then I will plant around it. But I won't have them sitting up straight because you can tell a big difference. Just angle it just enough to where you can see it, your neighbors can see it, and think that you're Martha Stewart. No better. Succulents. people do not use enough succulents. Again, if when it gets done out of a container, you can plant it in your yard, you know, or use it for a summer container. Any questions?
In the back.
Yes.
You're not talking about light, so this is gonna need a lot more direct light.
This is gonna
And
need
maybe, well,
full sun, at least 6 hours during the day, morning sun. So in the fall, if it's outside on your front porch, yeah, it's gonna, you know, if you have an awning or, you know, or something, it needs at least 6 hours. Yes.
you've got one of those with the bottom frame. I always thought they don't.
No.
They're not gonna like. Right, sun, like, right?
Yes, she's asking about the light of the autumn fern and the mum together. I have autumn ferns in my yard that've been there for 12 years, and they get sun from, what time does the sun come out now? 7:30 till about 2 o'clock, and they are fine. And in the fall, the sun's not so hot either, you know, and if it burns it a little bit, nobody's gonna know it. I mean, you know, nobody's gonna know it, but I don't think that it will. As long as this gets 6 hours of sunlight. Yes, that's a good point though. You don't want to put, you know, a hosta with a hibiscus, because the hibiscus needs full sun and the hosta doesn't, and watering is totally different too. So that is a very good point. Yes.
That was the same.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
To follow that up, we have a succulent and a fern with different water levels.
Right.
That are necessary, but they can exist together within the same time.
They can. I am very aware of that. So when I water my succulent, when I water my fern, I'm gonna water my fern. I'm not gonna water my succulent. But this one, it can take some water. Yeah, because I've got this in my yard and my bulldog steps on it and it gets water. So I mean, it's fine. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, y'all, come on. No more questions? Does any of this make sense? Yeah. Okay, the main thing is to have fun, you know, and if you don't like something, like I didn't like that pansy in that pot. I thought it was dumb. And it's okay, take it out, you know. You have to have fun with it and explore different plants and realize that maybe something might die. You might not water it enough, you know, or water something too much, or it's not going to get enough sun, but that's okay too. You know, that's called growing, and we just learn from it and move along. You know, I way over analyze something sometimes. Oh my God, but not with this. You need to have fertilizer. Just let all the pots fly away. I do use fertilizer, and I'm not promoting any of these businesses. I know there's Miracle Grow on the thing. I don't promote anything. It's just what I'm comfortable with. I do use Miracle Grow. I use Osmoco and Plant Time. And I just mix it in with the soil or water it in. Yeah. It's a slow release fertilizer. So you can get the 3 month or the 6 month. That's all of it, right? 3 months, 6 months.
There might be an 8 month, but you know, one thing that also affects it is temperature. So it's not going to release as quickly in the cooler months as it would during the summer. Handful.
It'll tell you on the package, but I usually just do a handful, sprinkle it like chicken feed or whatever. Yeah, that's what I do. You just you don't want to put too much because you'll burn the plants. That's why I try to mix it in with the soil before I plant. But it's okay if you don't. You can just sprinkle it on top. Yeah. Any questions? Yes. What else kind of grows over the pot? Is that important? Grows over the pot? There's the sedums, there's creeping Jenny, there's ivy. No ivy. Yeah, I'm not much on ivy either. there's other stuff. This is just what I chose. You know, but you can always take it home and add more to it or whatever. I just try to give you enough of a selection. So we have mums, which these are perennial. And we have the kale, 2 different types of kale. The Swiss chard. I love, and I tell you, Swiss chard is the best thing in a vegetable garden because in the morning, here early in the morning, you'll hear the little, you'll hear them flying, and you'll see them. And that's a really high blood. So then we got the autumn ferns, the violas. Then we have 2 different types of kukra, which is also a perennial, you know. And we have some rosemary there, but it's very small. But if you still want to use it, you know, it'll grow. And some different types of succulents, just for different texture, color. And that's what I do when I do my containers. I like the different textures and color. It might look like a hot mess to my neighbor, but I like it like that. That's how I like it. She won't like that. She likes just one thing. She don't like the color pop. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I would have a question, but I was just saying, when you're talking about sideways planting, if you're gonna use like ornamental kale and stuff, or the cabbages, if you'll put them sideways, I learned this from Teresa out at mine.
Yeah.
If the water won't get in there, they won't freeze
And they won't rot. Yeah.
So try to put those plants, especially
Yeah.
sideways.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Teresa knows what she's talking about too. Yeah.
So how long will my container last after I get all of this done and take it home?
You're gonna water it and baby it and
I
love
am.
it.
Take care of it.
And it'll probably last until the spring. Really. You might have some, you know, it depends on our winter and stuff, but it should last. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Take it inside.
I would. All of these plants are for outdoors, but that doesn't mean that as long as you get some bright sun for 6 hours. You know. Ready to get your hands dirty? Yeah. So the bags are on the tables. There's a few scoops. Y'all might have to share them. We've got plenty of soil. So let's load it up.
You just go around and pick out what we want.
Yep, just pick out what you want. Yeah.
Need a hole in it?
Well, she's got it's a plug.
Oh.
Which looks like a really good idea. So
So how far stuff goes up? I didn't realize that. You just keep on filling.
You got it, Michelle?
here's the box for sale, because I do have.
No, but we can get some for you. No, that's fine. There we go.
That sounded like thank you very much.
Thought it was champagne.
If only. And when you fill up your pot, leave a little bit because you know it's going to settle. And we're not going to water it so we can carry them out. And be sure to water when we get home. When y'all get home. When I say when we get home.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home with somebody. Okay, get home. We call. And Hey, can you bring Does anybody want an autumn fern? Because I don't have a pot for it. Yeah, I thought those at Farmstead. I bought them all.
And there's a nursery online called Bluestone Perennials that they had a phenomenal garden mum, selection. It's an online nursery, Bluestone. Yeah, I had a friend that shared some garden mums in his garden, and of course everyone's going, "Where'd you get those?"
Yeah, but they will separate and you can share those.
Got it. Don't overthink it, Julia. I see the gears turning.
Well, I was thinking I had a little bit home in the ground and really come out like here. I'll shut up. No, it's okay.
The fun thing is you're never done learning.
I know. But I've learned mostly now that I do tons of tanning with all that concrete and make it look a little nicer for him. And after the season's done, putting everything in the ground, like just taking everything out of the containers and planting it.
So what's her name? Wendy Parker. Wendy. So this is Wendy's pot, and this is going to be the back side. This is the back side, right? So this is what she's done, which I did not say. So she planned it out before she potted it out, so she'll know how she wants to lay it out, what it's going to look like. So she's got the mum, the Swiss chard, the autumn fern, and this succulent, and the heuchera. But I mean, look how pretty that's going to be. Yeah. Good job, Wendy. A+.
You passed.
Oh, hey, how are you? I knew for sure it was you.
That's what everybody said.
You had all these years in the South.
Oh, yeah, no.
Good to see you. Isn't this fun?
You want to take the phone for a minute? I'll go get that Hornets Midwinter Fire.
Yeah, what do I do?
That's
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I'm talking. Okay.
Okay, we're good. You're good. That's all it takes for us.
Yeah, I know.
We'll see each other again, I'm sure.
You better add some more soil to that, ma'am.
I will.
Okay.
Should I do it now?
I would before you plant them.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Wow.
Thank you. Where are they?
They're both in high school.
Lisa's close enough. It's gotta be.
Julia,
I know.
we need a whole bag for you.
I know. I'm feeling really badly.
Okay, Julia, you hold the phone. Julia's gonna hold the phone, and I'm gonna pick this bag up for her.
Okay. It's apparently I'm terrible. Okay.
fun, Julia.
Okay, good.
And Melissa, if you need more.
How much more dirt should I put in? That was my problem.
I put it up.
Yeah,
Right here,
sure.
all the way here?
Cinematography.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Amy.
John, come over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what's your name? So Janice here does not have any drain holes, which is fine. So we're gonna use a little bit of permateal at the bottom of it. And these have been watered, but you're gonna go home and water them, but just don't water them too heavy. So we're gonna put this at the bottom of her container. She's gonna add potting soil and then the plants, and we might add this a little bit more on top. So when she does water, it's not just sitting in water, because she doesn't have any drain holes. It's just crushed gravel.
It's slate that's been heated up to a high temperature, and then they cool it really quickly and it pops like popcorn. So it's really lightweight. It's got pore space. Can I share some tips?
Yes, please do. I'm not the only one here.
Here, do you want to film
Oh
me?
my gosh.
So we were just using some permatil.
Oops, sorry.
And this is a trick. If any of y'all plant bulbs in your containers, which is always kind of fun to tuck some crocus or things, but then those furry little critters called squirrels like to dig in your containers. Here's a trick, aside from using hot lead, which
Hot lead?
that's up to you.
Oh my gosh.
PETA's gonna come after me. I think. No, I don't do that because I've learned this. Permatil, which is we use it in soil to incorporate into the soil for good drainage. If you put like an inch deep layer on top of your containers, squirrels won't dig in it. It's a seed. No. It's sold in a lot of garden centers, some independent garden centers, but also at Lowe's, I think sometimes carries it. It'll sometimes be called Boll block. Boll. So the VOLE, those other little destructive, I swear I love wildlife, but not the ones that eat my expensive plants. But yeah, just sprinkle enough on the top because it's the edges, they're not sharp to us, but to a little squirrel going in there, they don't like it. So they'll leave things alone.
Very good, John.
Thank you.
And another thing with that permateal is ferns, hostas, anything with the bulb. The bowls, daylilies, iris, whatever. 2 years ago was the first time I ever had hostas and ferns because of the bowls. So, because I added permateal to every hole. So it works. Ace sometimes sells it in little bags because you don't need that much, for a container or just to pop in a hole of a fern or a Somebody's huffing and puffing over here, ma'am. You are way over analyzing. Are you my sister?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I'm not familiar.
They're
with
not
this
going to
variety.
do that much growth right now, but in spring they'll probably double in size in terms of height.
What about the
The Swiss chard will probably double. Yeah.
And don't do that.
Okay. Well, this is what we can do.
Okay, well,
So,
It'll be against my house.
That'll be good.
That'll be the back.
Because think about it, after this is done flowering, you have that to take over as the height.
like twos, even twos. And you can put these on
You
the
know things?
corner.
I know things. Sometimes I don't know I know things, but
yeah. Sometimes after that there.
That's perfect.
Pronounce that. I never saw it.
This is the first time I've ever done that. So anything about
well, cool.
Brooks. To get rid of. To get rid of them. I don't like using chemicals and stuff. And I know a lot of people do, so I just let them to take its course.
I mean, that's probably more.
That's why I use permatil.
But this is not.
Yeah, we use permatil in the ground. Yeah, you put it in the ground. Yeah, that'll make them not want.
They won't want to do that. You break the bottom?
Are y'all good?
Yeah, it's so good.
I would add a bug.
If not, I'll give you the ones I was saying.
I love birds. It's fun. This is so much fun.
That's what it's supposed to be. It's fun.
Yes, and then I can together.
You want to do it?
Huh?
Take over a second, watch it. So one thing that I like to do, so when we were renting for 2 years, and I still didn't want to stop buying plants. I have a habit, or I have a problem, and I'm comfortable with it. And I'm perfectly happy with that. But you can get some woody plants. Like this is a blood twig dogwood. So this is perfect to throw into a container and leave it there for a full year or 2 years.
Yep.
And this is one that when it drops its leaves, the stems are yellow, going to orange, going to red. I've got friends that they'll put Japanese maples in their containers for a couple years. And there's some really cool ones out there like Bihu, which is brilliant gold stem. There's Sangu Kaku, which has those red stems. So things like that you can incorporate. There's other plants that, this is a plant that we're propagating to be able to sell at some of our plant sales. It's called Mexican Mop Orange. It's in the citrus family. So the leaves, when you crush them, it smells like citrus peel. When it flowers, it smells like citrus flowering. But like this one's a little too small for me to go out and stick out in my garden. So tuck it in a container. You have it up closer to your house. It's going to be able to, go through winter a lot easier. And then ideally by next year, you can plant it out in your garden. But that's an easy way to start putting some of, your smaller woody plants in the containers. Which, I'm always like looking for ways to keep adding more plants. But that's that choicea. But really, this is one called Sundance. So it's got this brilliant gold foliage.
It's pretty. I think you have a question.
I have a question.
I think there's somebody.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to do it.
Yes, I love it.
So John's talking about woody plants and stuff. So Amy here last year in her garden, winter entrance garden. So she got a magnolia
Your
tree,
mom is darling.
put it in the pot and then planted around it. It's really, really pretty. So that's, you can use other things besides just that. And any kind of evergreen, cypress, whatever, holly, boxwood, and just plant around it. Yes, ma'am. You can never own it. Yep. And that's a little rosemary there.
It needs to come out.
I'd put the rosemaries together. Okay. Yeah. Because this mom is going to shadow the rosemaries.
Let me ask you this too.
Yes.
I have pictures on my phone from about 3 or 4 years ago.
No, he's at home probably swinging toys.
I have pictures of you guys from about 3 years ago.
Yes, and there's still. Oh, you haven't seen those.
Mhm.
Just to give it some more airflow and stuff. Okay, so it's kitchen right there. Yeah. I was telling Judy, I got some that Swiss Chard I guess last year, whatever sale you guys had, and at the end of the season, I put them just in the ground, everything in the ground, see what happened. And now they're huge. Yeah. And I can pop them back out, put them in containers, I guess, for the winter.
Swiss Chard, because they have that big ring.
They got my day.
Yeah.
The bottom hasn't died off. I'm like, it's died off the house, and I'll really good.
You can always. I know. And these
program. So I always try to find it. I think I had time out there. You have like a little mother and me sort of thing in the mornings for younger kids. I was gonna call this 10. Like he's in a wheelchair and like you know he's really pretty much that age. I didn't get to do it.
I think that could be perfect. Yeah, it's only 5 days. And there's just down there. So it's about being a right place. Okay, we're gonna show this one now. What's your name? Susie. Susie. So she said this is her first time of doing this. And I said, do you see the contrast of the different textures and it all just kind of works together?
It pays to have somebody next to you who's really good at what they're doing. Yeah.
I
Were you
love
cheating?
this.
Yes, I'm cheating.
I love this. And that's the fun part about it. That's why I go by textures instead of colors sometimes. And yes, I will have purple blooms with red blooms. I don't care as long as the texture is what I like, you know. But now you, ma'am, you won't like that. No, you won't like that.
Yours is beautiful.
But yeah. So I just wanted to show Susie. No, I'm not gonna forget.
That's yours.
They'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, we got another thing. All right. So Stephanie here is done with her container, but it's not to suit her perfectly. So she's gonna add little pumpkins. Aww. So that's an idea too. Go to somewhere and buy little pumpkins or just stick some, you know,
Pine cones.
pine cones, a branch, you know. And if you don't have those and your neighbors do, borrow them. I know where you live.
perfect. Yeah.
That
So when
looks
you
great.
when you get home, just get a little watering can and just water, and it just depends on where you're gonna put it. Don't overwater because you don't have very Yeah, and none of this stuff really needs a whole lot of water. Yeah, even the fern.
Yeah.
And you may just want to water the fern. I would add just a little more salt right in here because once you water it and get it going, it's gonna set. It's gonna settle. And another little trick is like before you water it, is pick your pot up and smash it on the table, and it kind of gets those air pockets out and makes it kind of settle on the top. But I would add just a little bit. That's it. Practical. Wow. Good. How do you keep water? Water it every day.
My cousin has ultra.
We've mostly been like, I'm not lying. There was 1 year ago.
They'll start with some of the
Another thing that you can do after you plant them and you don't know if you have enough soil is you can pick up your planter if you can. Some of us forget. Pick your planter up and just kind of smack it on the ground or a table, and it kind of wiggles all those air pockets out and stuff. Yeah, like a pie cake. Yeah. But don't hit it too hard now.
I'll start it with a little discovery bin to sort of explore
During the winter time, are they inclined to?
As they'll start breaking down over the year.
Yeah.
I mean, you can usually look to see, some of the pots, they'll say they're winter resistant or freeze resistant. But
That was the main reason I got a plastic. I love the clay ones, but I was really afraid that it wasn't going to winter very well.
and typically the terracottas tend to be a little less expensive than the glazed things. And so, after a couple years, if it breaks.
It's bottom of another plant.
Yeah. Or, I mean, like we had one where the whole half of it sloughed off.
Yeah.
And so we actually plant it, we still keep it.
But sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So y'all share pictures throughout the growing season. Tag Reynolda Gardens and show us as your pot grows.
Yes. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. If you need to get your car and drive, I'll carry your pot to you. Oh man, I forgot the most important thing, that we were going to have a test afterwards and to make sure that y'all pay attention, but I forgot the question. But the main thing is, did you have a good time? Yes. There's always one in class. Yeah, just share your pictures. Yeah, so we're going to wrap this up now. If you think Michelle's fun on Zoom, you should always experience her in person, and there still is an opportunity. We have the wreath making workshop that's coming up end of November, beginning of December. So it's another opportunity to work with Michelle and have a lot of fun. So check us out on Reynolda.org. There's information on how you can sign up for that class. And we hope everyone enjoys the rest of this beautiful day. Thank y'all.